Republicans are plunging America into a shutdown, rejecting bipartisan talks, pushing a partisan bill, and risking America's health care, worst of all. A few moments ago, Republicans once again rejected Democrats' proposals to avoid a shutdown, fix health care premiums, and spare Americans the calamity of skyrocketing through the roof health care costs. Republicans blocked it again.
The United States government has slipped into shutdown mode once again, the first in nearly 7 years, and this time, the blame game is uglier than ever. At the center of the storm is President Donald Trump, who is accused of weaponizing the shutdown for political gain, rather than to resolve the budget deadlock.
So nothing is inevitable, but I would say it's probably likely because they want to give health care to illegal immigrants, which will destroy health care for everybody else in our country. And I didn't see them bend even a little bit when I said we can't do that. Okay?
Talks between Trump and congressional leaders collapsed late on Wednesday, with healthcare spending becoming the decisive fault line.
Trump doesn't want to lift a finger to stop healthcare premiums from more than doubling. But he is raring to go when it comes to firing whoever he wants to, or slashing whatever he wants to, or prosecuting whoever he wants to, or telling his military his opponents are enemies within, and tweeting AI nonsense and lying about whatever he wants to. Trump doesn't care about how this shutdown is going to hurt real, average Americans across the country. He doesn't care about the Republican healthcare crisis. He clearly thinks this is all a game.
Democrats demanded restored funding for vital programs, while Republicans pushed for a temporary extension. But as the clock struck past midnight, the shutdown kicked in.
The whip's job in short order comes down to a very basic responsibility. You've got to be able to count to 60. I learned all the skills I needed in the first grade. I've used them in the Senate, and I've come to the conclusion that if you start off with 53 votes, as the Republicans do, they need 7 from our side. What Chuck Schumer has outlined is basic. If they want support from the Democratic side, for God's sake, sit down and let's talk it over at the table as soon as possible. There are plenty of tables in this Capitol for this purpose. We can do it.
Hundreds of thousands of federal workers are bracing for unpaid furloughs. Entire departments will shutter. And yet Trump chose to frame this chaos as a political opportunity. In his own words, he said shutdowns do a lot of good and bragged they could help cut programs he brands as Democrat things.
Well, the Democrats want to shut it down, so when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and the Democrats, they're going to be Democrats. As you know, this country, no country can afford to pay for illegal immigration, health care for everybody that comes into the country, and that's what they're insisting. And obviously I have an obligation to not accept that. That would affect everybody. You know, when I see what we're doing with AI and all the plants that are opening up in the country, $17 trillion is coming. And if you compare that to Biden had, in 4 years, less than $1 trillion. We have 17 trillion, more than that. I think it's going to be much more than that, David, by the end of this year. I think it's going to be far over that. It's a record. It's already a record in 8 months. It's a record by a lot. And so we're doing well as a country, so the last thing we want to do is shut it down. But a lot of good can come down from shutdowns. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want, and they'd be Democrat things, but they want open borders. They want men playing in women's sports. They want transgender for everybody. They never stop. They don't learn. We won an election in a landslide. They just don't learn. So we have no choice. I have to do that for the country. Yes.
The federal government, by law that we passed, does not fund health insurance for undocumented immigrants in Medicaid, period, nor the ACA, nor Medicare. Undocumented immigrants do not get federal health insurance premiums, period. Period. They're lying. I hope you'll call them on it when they bring it up. Some of the newspapers have. Okay? I said this directly to Speaker Johnson in the Oval Office. I told him what he was saying was bull, because he said, you guys want that. And he just smirked, didn't even answer. And why are they lying? They know how unpopular their position is on health care, but they shouldn't talk about it.
The White House insists this shutdown is the Democrats' fault, but the reality is more complex. Democrats, though in the minority, use their limited leverage to demand funding for health care, something many Americans view as essential. Republicans, meanwhile, offered a short-term patch that papered over deeper disagreements. The Senate failed to pass the funding bill, needing 60 votes and falling short due to unified Democratic resistance. Now, the shutdown is real, and uncertainty is the only thing Washington is delivering. Congress will reconvene after the Yom Kippur holiday, but there's no guarantee a breakthrough is in sight.
The good news is this is a bipartisan CR now. 3 Democrats have voted with us in complete unity. We need 5 more to wake up tomorrow morning and go, this is just stupid. Because I think most normal Americans would look and they go, why are you putting the American people through this? 5 Democrats have the power tomorrow to reopen the government, and I hope they're listening, and I hope they have the courage to actually do it.